Hello, this is Dr. RoboCoach with a review of the 2019 Fantasy Football Draft tools available to you from CBS Sports Line. And what you're looking at here is FantasyFootballDraft.com. And then there's also the Draft Assistant with Draft Fantasy Pros Draft Wizard. So this is a good look at what it looks like in the middle of a draft. So I'm the farm and I'm on the clock. I'm in the fourth round. I've got the 10th pick. There are 18 teams, and right now, Mel Gordon is still sitting out there, but for good reason. And what I'm seeing is a lot of quarterbacks, Aaron Rodgers, Cam Newton, um, but that's okay. In any event, I've been pretty happy with the draft wizard from Fantasy Pros. It's been okay. It's using VBD score. It's lived up to the review that I gave it in prior to the draft a week or two ago. The problem is though with the draft room at CBS Sports. So let's just take a look at that. So here I am in the draft room, and it's I had praised uh, this tool because it was VBD based. When I came in here in the original ranking, there was the default ranking, and then there's my rank, which was derived from VBD originally in my original review. But now, partway through the draft, or maybe I just didn't notice and it was the entire time of the draft, it's just defaulted to a ranking based on fantasy points. So you can see if I sort these by fantasy points, well, I do see here's a player with lower. No, it just follows the ranking. Yeah, I'm sorry, it's in reverse order. So a lower rank is a better rank. So and that follows the fantasy points exactly. And that is not VBD. VBD places more emphasis on positions where there's higher demand. So in my league, there are two wide receivers draft for each team on the starting roster, and then there's only one QB, and so QBs are in less demand, and yet you can see I've got this entire list of QBs here, and they're ranked according to this um, as if they're the best available players, and that's different than what I had hoped to see here. Um, it's just going on down the list. Uh, well, there is some odd things in here. So I've got a higher ranked Kirk Cousins in here. Oh, I'm sorted by fantasy points. So Kirk Cousins has 275 in fantasy points, and yet, which is more than Kyler Murray, and yet Kyler Murray has a better rank. How can that be? That doesn't even make sense within the QB rankings itself. Um, just kind of blows my mind. I don't know what has happened here with this tool that seemed just fine the other day. So I'm if I change this to from projections to somebody's rank, I mean that's Dave Richards. I don't care what his rank is. Yeah, his rank might be for his league, which has, you know, who knows how he's going to choose his rankings. It's not one thing for sure. The chances of his rankings being exactly for my 18 team league or your 10 team league or somebody else's 8 team league are highly suspect. He's probably just drafting for the average league size and the most common setup. So if you deviate from that, then it's not going to help you, and I don't want that. Um, so these are I don't know. I'm completely. Let's try top. So if I come in here now, if I choose top, okay, this is completely different. It's just It's not VBD, so I can see that. When viewing top positions, you see top players available at each roster spot. The source being your selected filter option. Yeah, that's not. I want VBD, value-based drafting, and that's not VBD. So I'm going to go back to all. Okay, this is. Let me try and close it and come back. So I'm going to close this, and I'm going to come back to it. Let's see, do draft room. Maybe it'll reset itself with any luck. Um, I am on the clock. And then here's this default ranking. Default rankings are based on projections from Sportsline using your league scoring system. And the all view ranking uses the same criteria. However, all incorporate a value-based drafting formula. So there it is, right in black and white. However, also incorporates a value-based drafting formula. The all view default ranking uses the same criteria. So this is what they're talking about, the view. I am at the all view, which I was at before when I was showing it to you. And yet, um, let's take a look here. So the default ranking should be right here. And I still have Aaron Rodgers at 38. Yeah, I still have a whole bunch of quarterbacks here. Um, these are basically sorted. I can see that Miles Sanders has got a bump. He's a running back, and his fantasy points are 163, and his ranking is 64. So I think by closing out the draft room and coming back in, I've got got it back to where it should be. But and I double checked these rankings before and they were correct. So I think I'm good now. But something happened there where my rankings were basically just my fantasy points. And I don't know how I got into that rat hole. Still, I don't think this is a very good list. Quarterbacks shouldn't be ranked this high. For example, I've got, you know, we have to start two wide receivers in this league. I would much rather have Cooper Kupp uh, or some other wide receiver. I know Tyler Lockett's still out there. Um, Latavius Murray. Oh my goodness, why is he way down there? I guess probably just based upon his projection. Why do they have such a low projection for? Um, anyway, these quarterbacks. There's no way I want Dak. Well, I mean, they're good quarterbacks. Don't get me wrong, but there's no way I want Mitchell Trubisky um, over a wide receiver right now because there's just so many good quarterbacks. Um, that's crazy. So you can see that in if you go to the draft assistant, you can see, okay, yeah, these are two top tier quarterbacks, but you know, next after the very top tier, we're going to be looking at a wide receiver with a VBD score of 60. And if you check that against FantasyFootballDraft.com, you see the same thing, which is FantasyFootballDraft.com is also using a VBD formula here, and you can see that this is the fourth round in the pick. It's suggesting I pick up Tyler Lockett. Actually, I was messing around with that. I had to recalculate. So you just press the recalculate button and it says, okay, take Latavius Murray. So there's something wrong with CBS Sports Line. Both FantasyFootballDraft.com and Draft Assistant are ranking running backs and wide receivers higher than is CBS Sports. And I think with good reason. If I can pick up Tom Brady in round 7, he's not Aaron Rodgers anymore, but he's still a solid quarterback. And I and considering that I need two running backs and two wide receivers, and I only have one running back and one wide receiver at the moment, just do not. Something's wrong. I don't need a quarterback now. I can get Dak Prescott later. I can get Tom Brady later. I can get all these other quarterbacks later. And this sort of highlights another great feature of FantasyFootballDraft.com is the ability to it lays out your whole draft in front of you here. So you can see rounds 4 through 13. I'm presently in round 4, and it lays out my whole draft for me. And so, and then I can say to the artificial intelligence, I'm like, Latavius, I'm not so sure, and I can nuke him. And then I can, he's now on my nuke list. These are the players I don't want to consider. Um, and then I can recalculate, and then it'll tell me, well, why don't you pick up Tyler Lockett then? And it puts a little star there. The star means that it's not on the optimal path. Um, that means he's going to be a backup for my team. And it's an option, so if I didn't want to pick up Tyler Lockett, I could do, maybe a handcuff here or something like that. Um, but there I am. Yeah, so I've got James Conner, Zach Ertz, and Brandon Cooks. So I definitely need another wide receiver, and I definitely need another running back. Um, CBS Sportsline should not be recommending quarterbacks. That's just wrong. I'm reducing my grade for CBS Sportsline Draft Room Intelligence from a B to a D. It's actually very frustrating that that happened because it was working just fine the other day. Don't know what happened. Um, so another nice feature here is that you can see CJ Anderson is also available here. If I don't pick up Latavius Murray, I don't know that I want to pick up CJ later on. So I could nuke him and recalculate and see if I get somebody better in the later rounds. And that's more along with what I envision. Um, let's recalculate. Yeah, nuking both Latavius and CJ makes things pretty hard on the AI. It's not the way the draft picks fall. So so let's just go with Latavius Murray between the ADP, which I can see that he's not going to be available because he's in the next list of 10 players. And my next pick after this won't be for another 18 picks. So he's gone if I don't get him now. And that's what RoboCoach, RoboDraft AI is telling me. And I'm getting a different signal from Draft Wizards. They're thinking maybe another wide receiver, Tyler Lockett, which is, that's a good suggestion. It somewhat agrees with Fantasy Football Draft and saying that he's optional pick in this round, but that he's not optimal. So, so yeah, between the draft assistant and FantasyFootballDraft.com working together, I get good advice. But with the CBS Sports Line Live Draft Room advice, I would have been steered wrong. So this has been Dr. RoboCoach. Good luck in your 2019 Fantasy Football Draft. Please like below, and if you got through this whole recording and are still listening, then please um, tell me that you watched this the comparison the live comparison of draft draft assistant from Fantasy Pros with CBS Sports live draft room, artificial intelligence, and FantasyFootballDraft.com. Send me an email at RoboCoach at FantasyFootballDraft.com. That's RoboCoach at FantasyFootballDraft.com, and I will get you a free subscription. Thank you very much.